Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. And as promised today, we're talking corners. So we got 5 names we're going to talk through here that we think are probably the top corners in the class. Well, a sixth person who's a top corner in the class, probably the top corner in the class, but just hasn't played football in 2025. But we're going to talk through 5 names here, and I'm actually really excited to talk about this. I expected to come into the cornerback class kind of low on this class, but I am coming in more bullish than I expected to. So very excited to talk through this with James here. But James, are you ready to roll, man?
I'm ready. It's a pretty strong class, and corner's my favorite position regardless. So I'm pumped for this one.
Yes, since it's your favorite position, man, I'll let you guide the order that you want to talk through here.
Okay.
So
should we go in consensus order? Do you think?
Sure, that's fine with me.
Start off with Mansoor Delane. So Mansoor Delane, LSU corner, 5'11 and 1/8, 191 pounds, just over 30-inch arms. Arm length is 10th percentile, which will be a red flag for him. I have a late first round grade on Mansoor Delane. He's my cornerback 2 behind Jermod McCoy. Just really smooth changing directions, controlled, balanced footwork, really sticky in man coverage. The biggest limitation for Mansoor Delane is, like I said, the size and length, and I think the speed is below average. You can see that on the Cece Concepcion tape. You see that when he can get stacked off the line of scrimmage initially, and I think NFL man coverage might be a greater challenge for him to an even more extent than it will be for like the standard corner transitioning from college to the NFL. I think that jump might be a little bit more extreme, but he is my cornerback 2. Very balanced, well-rounded player. I think he'll be like an above average to good starter is kind of how I project him.
Yeah, I like Mansoor Delane too. I have a high second round grade on him. And if he tests well, like I do have an upside multiplier that's basically testing that grade will likely become a first round grade. Delane I think is really well rounded in terms of instincts in man coverage, instincts in zone coverage. One of the more fluid, I would say the second most fluid corner in this class. We'll talk about the other guy today as well. Again, we're not including Jermod McCoy in these conversations about first most, second most. At least I'm not.
If you want to see our thoughts on Jermod McCoy, I actually guest hosted the cornerback summer scouting episode, and so both of our thoughts are exact same as they were in the summer.
I'm not going to change my grade from my summer grade on Jermod McCoy. I don't really have a reason to. Oily hips, speed turns, flips his hips with ease. I think my biggest concerns with Delane, and I have 2, are the long speed. So when he's got to turn and run on the vertical plane, I think he's probably a 4.5 guy. And you kind of see it in the Texas A&M game with Cece Concepcion a little bit, taking him over the top a little bit. And then the ball skills a little bit. I went back and I watched some Virginia Tech tape as well because I was like, I want to see this guy's targets. Like, I want to see this guy actually get the football thrown his way. So I went back and watched some Virginia Tech tape too. I think when the ball is deep and in the air, there are times that he struggles to get his eyes to the football and track it appropriately. And so the ball skills and the vertical speed are the 2 big hangups I have with Delane. But again, like, interceptions are volatile, and the ability to get your hands on the football are kind of volatile. So I don't really I'm not gonna put it's not gonna tank his grade a ton there. But very smooth, decent in run support. Like, he doesn't get blockers out of his frame very well, and he's more of an ankle biter. But he's not also gonna shy away from contact. So, yeah, big fan of Delane.
All right, so Delane is your cornerback 4?
So McCoy tied 3-4, yeah. Same grade, 3-4 here. Probably 4 by the time athletic upside tester gets like the upside thing gets added there with athletic testing. Probably 4, yeah.
Right.
Which is different than consensus, but
yeah, it is. You want to just continue to go down the consensus board and move on to Avon Terrell out of Clemson. Disappointing year for most of the draft eligible Clemson Tigers, but I think if anything, Avon Terrell, his grade has risen for me since the summer. He is fast. He is fluid.
Mm-hmm.
He mirrors effortlessly. He is
Mm-hmm.
undersized, but punches above his weight class in run support.
Yep.
8 forced fumbles over the last 2 seasons is phenomenal. I mean, he's a great tackler, plays blocks with violence. Sometimes will lose contain in run defense. There were 2 big plays that he gave up because of that, but love the physicality. And for a player like Avon Terrell, who you're potentially looking at moving inside to the nickel, you want to have that violence and play strength and run support. I do worry about him getting bodied at the catch point,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very easy to create separation against with push-offs at the break point, on slants, in breakers, and stops and comebacks. My biggest issue with Avion Terrell, though, is I think the closing burst for a smaller player is very average.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
if you watch SMU, he gives up a touchdown in the red zone on a post where you can see like the receiver crosses his face and he just doesn't have that starting gear to go from 0 to 60 and close that separation. See that pop up on quick slants as well. And then final thing I had to mention, I thought the zone IQ specifically as a flat defender when it comes to like breaking on routes from the number 2 receiver was outstanding. There were so many pass breakups and I think an interception on like hitches and speed outs when he was the flat defender covering the number 2 receiver.
Yeah, I have that in my notes. I also have in my notes with a little bit of zone coverage. I do think that you can catch him by putting him in conflict a little bit in zone coverage. So like if he is a buzz defender to a 3-man side and like a triangle read,
Yeah.
you kind of can catch him guessing a little bit. And so I do see a little bit of being a little bit overwhelmed and late to trigger in those situations. But again, I have really fluid mover, hits his landmarks exceptionally well in zone coverage, smarts uh, to marry incoming route concepts, and he plays with great spacing to force quarterbacks to force some throws as well. And that shows up again when you see him turn and run to find backside post and hunt those backside crossers and digs when he's not threatened vertically in cover 3. I think the press man body of work is excellent outside of, watch the Louisville game and it's Chris Bell, and Chris Bell does it everybody, but you can watch Chris Bell shove him 3 yards off
Yeah.
off the point of attack and break a slant right in front of his face. It's going to happen. So like the level of physicality is not quite there. But as far as like he's pigeon toed, he has a narrow base. His feet are light and they mirror exceptionally well. Like he consistently leads with his feet first, and he's not trying to get over his skis and punch in press man, which is perfect. But again, that size disparity does show up. Another thing that I really love about Terrell is like you throw him into the nickel and you don't get any sort of like his play's not downgraded at all.
Right.
So like he can play in the nickel and he can anticipate like those breaks at the top of route. I think in off man, his catch tech is awesome. He's going to force receivers to step on his toes. He's not giving up any ground, and he's going to sink right into their hips. So like you can put him in the nickel, you can play him outside, and in the nickel as well. He'll sling into those run fits, man. You mentioned that he is willing to initiate contact and as a tackler. I like the kid a lot. Ball skills, again, he's got a knack for finding the football. Not a lot of ball production this year, but if you watch his reps playing through the hands or like breaking on the football, you can see that he has a clear knack for how to get his hands on the football. And then you go back to some of his freshman sophomore tape, and he's got some acrobatic interceptions on his tape from 2024, 2023 as well. So quite a bit to like about Avon Terrell.
Yeah, there was an incredible interception against Eric Singleton Jr. his freshman year. Against Georgia Tech, like down the sideline, located the ball. One of his arms was being held, and he intercepted it with one hand down the sideline. So like definition of a quality rep as far as evaluating somebody's ball skills.
Yeah.
Let's move to Colton Hood, the Tennessee corner, who is next highest on the consensus board. I'll let you lead off this one because I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, dude. I might have a hot take that of all the corners that have played this season. So again, Jermon McCoy's not in the conversation. I think that Colton Hood might be having the best season. He's got my highest grade of these guys that we've talked about thus far. I have a first round grade on Colton Hood, and right now he is number 6 on my big board. So I think that Colton Hood is a tremendous player. Um, in press man, it almost looks like his feet are flat, but I think they're just really subtle. His movements when he's mirroring off the line of scrimmage, I don't think there's any delay in him opening up his hips and turning and running.
Yep.
The recovery speed on the vertical plane, even if he does get beat off the line of scrimmage, his ability to explode his transitional burst to recover and get back in phase on the vertical plane is tremendous.
Yeah.
I think he's not probably of the guys I've watched, he's the strongest corner in the class. Like that dude will punch and punch and punch at the top of the route. He's going to make you feel it if you try to sink your hips at the top of route when he's an off man. He's going to make you feel it. In run support, he's the best at punching blockers and run support too, coming downhill when they're trying to run bubbles at him and things like that. His run support though, it gets a little on my nerves. It was a cold game. It might have been the Vanderbilt game. I think it was the Vanderbilt game. It was cold. He kind of shied away from contact though. Like he'd come downhill and then kind of loop around contact a little bit. So that kind of stuff is like, okay, man, come on, get your nose in there a little bit. But I think his instincts in zone are really good. I think his press man is awesome. And then like again, he's only 6 foot tall, but I think he's got a fairly dense lower half. But I still think he flips his hips really well for having a denser lower half as well, and can flip his hips, get to the boundary, speed turns really well, triggers downhill really well. So like for me, when I watch Colton Hood, it's like the weakness might be like ball skills, but that's more on like he doesn't get targets. And he has one interception this year that's off of a tip pass, fell right into his lap. He returned it for touchdown. He's got another interception last year at Colorado, same thing, tipped pass right in his lap, big return. He has another interception though where he breaks on the ball along the boundary, picks it off, and like toe taps along the sideline as well. So I do see a little bit of evident ball skills there with him as well. Nothing acrobatic, but that could just be of like there hasn't been an opportunity. Ball skills with DBs are kind of hit and miss because it's like how are you supposed to put a grade on some guy if he doesn't get targets? Like
Right.
So
You have to judge it like per opportunity, basically.
yeah, exactly. So then I just turned to like how do they play through the hands, and I think that Hood plays through the hands really well because again he's the most physical corner that I've watched this year. So I've got a high grade on Colton Hood.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Hood. Listed at 6 foot 195. I think he's got long arms. I mean, his size is technically average, but when you watch him on tape, like he's an imposing press corner, and I think the biggest thing that stands out with Colton Hood is how the rerouting doesn't stop once the receiver gets off the line of scrimmage. He's really diminishing the receiver's get off, speed down the stem, and suddenness and burst out of the break. For me, I thought that ultimately Colton Hood in press man was too reliant on his physicality to make the routes easier to cover, essentially. And I think that when he's out of phase or when he's covering a full speed break, I think the mirror skills and man coverage are average to below average. The vast majority of the time, he's just smothering receivers and like not even letting their route gain any steam. And so it doesn't really affect him on tape as often, but I think in the NFL he might struggle to mirror some of the more skilled route runners. My other biggest issue with Colton Hood is the ball skills, the ability to turn and locate the ball down the field. Several explosive plays that he gave up where he was in phase down the sideline and just couldn't turn and find the ball. Other than that, though, he is an incredibly clean prospect. He's my cornerback 3. So I do have Delane ahead of him. But yeah, late first round grade for Colton Hood. The speed, the ability to gear up, transition from press and then gear up, it's instant. And for a corner of his size, like you see Avon Terrell be able to gear up like that, but most corners of his size take a little while to get going. But with him, it's just so rapid.
Yeah. What game was it? It was the first game I watched of Colton Hood, which would have been the Oklahoma game. It's like very early in the game too. He gets beat off the line of scrimmage, and Oklahoma's got burners like the Sategna kid and Burks. They can all run, and I don't remember which receiver it was, but he got beat, and then he immediately turned in transitional burst and exploded and got right back into phase.
Yeah.
Like it's in like the first drive of the game. It's like, oh, yep, there it is. Check, box check there. So
If you watch the Mississippi State game, they've got some burners with Brennan Thompson. He was mirroring them on stop and goes effortlessly. You texted me about his recovery speed. I was like, "Are you watching Mississippi State?" Because that's what I was watching right then. But the other thing I forgot to mention with Colton Hood, and it ties back into what you were saying about the ball production. I saw very, very few translatable zone coverage reps on his
mhm.
tape. They play zone coverage some, but there were just so few examples of him really like diagnosing routes and getting targeted in zone coverage. So I think that is one not merely red flag, but just a box that he doesn't have checked. And I think it also can explain the average ball production.
Yeah, so my zone notes I have when playing cover two buzz looks, I thought Hood's depth was awesome to put himself in a position to either trigger up or explode back on like levels concepts or high lows that they were running at him. Working and vertically in cover three or four looks easily can maintain deepest man on the field. And then cover three has great eyes to eat up backside crossers and posts when he's not threatened vertically. But like the cover three eating up backside post and crossers, that's like day one stuff. So it's like you
Right.
don't get too many brownie points for that. But yeah, I tend to agree though.
All right, man. Do you want to do Brandon Cece or Keith Abney?
Let's let's end on a high note. So
Okay.
let's do Cisse. I This is a player that I didn't see it with. So I watched with Cisse. I watched the Alabama game and I watched the Clemson game. Um, so for me, like impressed man, I'll start there. His feet are so wide. His feet are so wide, and I think that contributes to him being really late to open up and turn and run. And kind of the same thing when he's shifting, like changing directions as well. I think he's got to add another step in there to really get moving and back in the right direction, or changing directions. I did see the ability to flip the hips well when he was kind of like in a buzz look or like unthreatened while pushing vertically. So like when the speed wasn't built up a little bit, but I think he plays really high hipped as well. Like I didn't see a lot of hip sync in his back pedal, things like that, and I think that translates to a loss of acceleration when he does need to change his directions. Um, I think the long speed, I saw some long speeds concerns as well. In the Clemson game, he beat on a post where he can't get back in phase. So on the vertical plane, I think he can tend to get stacked up a little bit and lose a step. Um, I did like his punch timing in man, and he's got nice length. His arms, he's got nice arm length. So I thought he punched really well. Um, and he can hang in hip pockets really well when he can get locked up. But again, I think he plays too wide, and when he opens the gate, it puts him a little bit of a split second behind, almost instantly. Zone instincts as well. He's well equipped again, the cover three thing, and I think he has the requisite zone instincts. Um, I thought again, kind of like what I said about Terrell sitting in short zone buzz looks, more so a reactionary defender than someone who'd like an anticipatory defender in those concepts where he is the defender put in conflict. So like the press man stuff is good. When he's got to get eyes to the quarterback, I think it gets a little shaky for me. And then I thought tracking the football deep down the field as well, struggled to find the football, get his head around. When he has a chance to make a play at the football, though, he does do an exceptional job of playing through the hands of receivers.
Yep.
And then in the run support, like I thought he was just really gun shy. An ankle biter, misses a lot of tackles in space. That's what I saw. A near 15% missed tackle rate in 2025. And then on top of that, just some overarching concerns about his level of physicality. He's left 3 different games this year with injuries as well. So durability, physicality standpoint as well. Like Cisse is a hard sell from what I've seen. And again, as a redshirt sophomore, like I gave him a grade just because he might declare because he's getting first round buzz, but like I would have a back to school grade on Brandon Cisse.
So I'm a little bit higher on him, although I do share most of your concerns. I would say most of them. The one that I would definitely push back on, and I think if you watch more games, you would change your opinion, is the run support, because of the players we watched, I think he's probably the best in run support,
Interesting.
the most physical taking on blocks, especially when it would be him or Terrell. And when you consider that Cece has, better length, better size, I think just translating to the NFL, I would give him the nod in run support. I think that evaluating his speed is really difficult because I think his top speed is adequate. I'm interested to see what he runs, but he does get stacked more often than somebody with his speed should. And I'm glad you mentioned the wide feet at the line of scrimmage because that his feet are in quicksand a lot of times when he's trying to transition, and so that gets him beat a lot. By far, the biggest issue for Brandon Cece is finding the ball on back shoulder fades specifically. Virginia Tech, Clemson, and Missouri, I saw him get beat for an explosive play on a back shoulder. And then also turning and finding the ball when he's a step behind and could still be able to play it. Feels like he kind of panics if he's stacked when he's deeper down the field. When he's playing catch coverage, he'll let receivers step on his toes and then cross his face. That was the Cece Concepcion big play that he gave up. And then there were a couple other examples of that I noticed. But I think Cece is an incredibly easy mover. His ability to mirror route breaks, decelerate. I mean, I think his mirror skills are probably him or Mansoor Delane. I think Mansoor Delane is more consistent in man coverage, but Cece, I think, has more natural man coverage athleticism to stick with route breaks. Hands are great at the line of scrimmage, great when he's stabbing, raking at the ball. Like if he's playing top down, he's really good at the catch point. I have on Cece a late second round grade, and he's my cornerback 6 currently.
Okay. So maybe I should wipe the Clemson game. Well, no, I mean it's his most recent game, and that's the like Stallion. They've got Stallions in that wide receiver.
Oh, I meant one more thing I forgot to mention is that almost all of, I won't say almost all, but his play like really, I think, declined as the year progressed. If you go back and watch Virginia Tech, Missouri, LSU from earlier in the season, I thought those are excellent performances. Okay. And then Texas A&M didn't play that much, but that was a bad game. Clemson wasn't that great. So I do think you watched like 2 of his worst games. So I would give him a couple more, but like I'm not really in on Cece as a first rounder.
Yeah, me neither. And one other thing I wanted to bring up as well, and I don't know if you noticed this, but he rotates off the field a lot. Like they rotate Vakari Swayman a lot and take him off.
Yeah, I when I see that happen, I assume he's like injured, but I don't know.
But then he comes back on like the next series or 2.
Yeah,
and it happens a lot once offenses get in the red zone. It's like, well, Cese's not on the field. I don't know. That's what I noticed as well. Yeah, like they're in the red zone.
I noticed him like in and out a lot, but I figured it was like a Jaden Roberts thing.
Yeah, I don't know. So that was another thing that caught my eye. And again, like we just mentioned a lot of things that were like, yeah, we see this, we see that. Like to me, when we're talking about a red shirt sophomore, where we're talking that many stuff, it's like, go back to school, man.
Right.
But ultimately, like if he gets like a first round, get some first round grades, he's probably going, and I don't blame him. I get it, but yeah, wasn't a gigantic fan of his tape. That leaves us to the last man of the hour here.
Keith Abney, Arizona State corner. So he was both of our favorites over the summer.
Yeah.
And he has just elevated his play. Felt like kind of a long shot that like, hey, this is, guy that could sneak into the second round maybe, but I feel like second round is a consensus opinion at this point. Had a little bit of a down stretch kind of towards the middle of the year, but he's ended the year with 2 or 3 outstanding performances back to back. You want to hear an interesting Keith Abney stat?
I would love to hear an interesting Keith Abney stat.
He has been targeted on a quick slant this year 12 times, which is the most among FBS corners. He's allowed 3 receptions for 36 yards. He has 1 interception, 5 pass breakups, and they're averaging offenses are averaging negative 1.06 EPA per target. So like if you target Keith Abney on a quick slant, they're deducting a point from the scoreboard essentially. I mean, when he from catch coverage or off like 4 to 5 yards of cushion, he closes that in the blink of an eye, and so good at arriving with a purpose, playing the ball. I think that he was a former ice skater. He's got the change of direction skills and the fluidity that you would expect. I thought that his man coverage in terms of like mirroring horizontal route breaks has been a little bit inconsistent this year. There are some A+ reps where like I know he's got it in him, but the route ID and the hand usage to resist push-offs at the break point, I think could use some work for sure. Probably like B to B- run support. Doesn't have great size, but really good physicality. And yeah, man, I've got Keith Abney, cornerback 5, 34th overall. I think could play outside, nickel, no real scheme limitations. Just a versatile, like borderline Pro Bowl caliber player is how I project him.
Yeah. One thing that just keeps sticking out on his tape is like when you throw a screen in his direction, his trigger getting downhill to try to blow that thing up is outrageous. A 4% missed tackle rate this season, which is like the lowest of the corners that we watched for today's episode by like 10%. I think there's one of them who's at a 10% missed rate. I can't remember which one, but like, yeah, at least half the amount of missed tackles as the rest of the corners in this class. And again, PFF's missed tackle stats can get a little misleading because like sometimes they'll throw like, oh, he dove like last ditch dove at a receiver's ankles, and yeah, and they'll chart it as a missed tackle. So like sometimes it is more than it isn't. But yeah, the press man instincts I think are there, inconsistent as you said. The ball production the ball skills is really good too. Again, he was recruited as an athlete out of high school, so like either receiver or corner. So you could definitely see the receiver goal in him. Both of his interceptions this year were game sealers, like late fourth quarter interceptions against Baylor and West Virginia. And both of them were passes that he had to kind of lay out for as well.
Yeah.
So like weren't easy, just like, oh, hit him right in the gut.
Play through contact.
Yeah. Yeah. So the ball skills are absolutely there. And then you go back to last year's tape too and watch the one down the right sideline against Cincinnati. Yeah. Like there's some really good reps. I think his zone instincts are really awesome as well. He's awesome at using the sideline as a second defender in quarters and in cover 3 when he is threatened vertically to kind of phase receivers kind of into his blind spot, but like narrowing that blind spot into a funnel almost between himself and the boundary. I think he's a really good football player, and it's like at some point, like the industry has to catch up, right? I know Dane mocked him in the second round today, but like, that seems like the first time that I felt like the industry is like really recognized Keith Abney. It's like, at what point does the industry catch up to Keith Abney? Because you and I have been talking about him since freaking May. So like,
we will continue to bang the drum until he announces that he's coming back to school or transferring, I guess.
Yeah, I do know he's got some high bidders in the portal, so we'll see how that plays out if he goes back for his senior season or not. But he's tremendous, man. Like this is a really rock solid football player.
Absolutely. Do we want to run through our top 5 list?
Let's do top 6, and well, I guess we don't have to throw Jermon
McCoy is one for me.
Yeah. So similar to how I have the Oregon tight ends as my top 2 tight ends. I have the Tennessee corners as my top 2 corners. So Colton Hood would be my corner 2. Avon Terrell 3, Mansoor Delane 4, Keith Abney 5, and then Brandon Cece 6.
Okay. So I've got McCoy 1, Mansoor Delane 2, Colton Hood 3, Avon Terrell 4, Keith Abney 5, Brandon Cece 6, and then 7, 8, 9 is Devin Moore out of Florida, Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, and D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana.
We were talking off there. We might have to do just a whole episode on nickels.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of really fun nickels between like Jaden Kennedy. If you want to throw D'Angelo Pons, although Pons might be in Keontae Scott. Pons might be in conversation of like, this guy might be able to scrap outside at the NFL level.
I view him as more of like a Darius Williams type.
Yeah. I think he can scrap out there. I mean, he's done it his whole college career.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that would be an interesting conversation too, of just going through nickels, because there's just so many of them. So many of them.
I think we could fill an episode on it.
We could. All right, James. Do you have anything else for the people here?
That's all I got.
That's all I got too. Again, we'll be back tomorrow talking through championship weekend here. So we got some good matchups ahead of us. But until then, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. See ya.